Introducing TurboGrafx-16, the next generation video game system. And you can expand your system with a CD player for CD games with sound effects that are turbocharged. TurboGrafx-16 from NEC, the higher energy video game system.
Hello everyone, and welcome back to Player One Start. Today I'm kicking off my review of the TurboGrafx-cd unit, which was an add-on for the TurboGrafx-16. It was released in November of 1989, and that makes it the first console in the US to use CD-ROM media for its games, at least in a home console. And that was a big deal back in the day. It would have been seen as very cutting edge. Now, the TurboGrafx-cd, though, had a really rough launch, and to fully understand this, we should actually take a look at the development of the PC Engine CD add-on that came out in Japan, and the history and development behind this device. Let's go ahead and take a look. When the PC Engine made its debut in the Japanese market on October 30th, 1987, it was a tremendous success. The PC Engine had an elegant, eye-catching design, and it was very small compared to its rivals. This, coupled with a strong software lineup and third-party support from high-profile developers such as Namco and Konami, gave NEC a temporary lead in the Japanese market. In 1988, NEC was developing a CD attachment to the PC Engine, seemingly with the goal of increasing the system's capabilities, as well as allowing for the expanded storage format and lower production costs of CD-ROMs, especially when compared to the HuCard format used for its games up until this point. Storage capacities of HuCards varied between various games on the PC Engine, but games at the beginning generally ranged between 2 to 4 megabits, eventually reaching 8 megabits or 1 megabyte in the early 1990s. That means at the time of its production, it would have made one CD have the storage capacity of at least 700 HuCards worth of data. Producing games on CD-ROM would provide both game developers and game manufacturers with various advantages. Game developers could greatly expand on a game's assets, providing smoother animations with additional sprites, various graphical effects that would usually be cut from a game due to limited storage on the game media, as well as the ability to add more levels to a game, providing a lot of additional playtime. Games could now also be enhanced with CD-quality audio, providing a giant leap in audio quality for music, as well as recorded voices and sampled sound effects. Game manufacturers would have the benefit of lower production costs and faster production than making HuCards. The add-on, dubbed the CD-ROM-ROM or CD-ROM Squared, was released in Japan on December 4th, 1988. The add-on allows the core versions of this console to play PC Engine games in the CD-ROM format in addition to standard HuCards. This made the PC Engine the first video game console to use CD-ROMs as a storage media. The add-on itself consisted of two devices. There was the CD player itself, and the interface unit, which connected the CD player to the console and provides a unified power supply and output for both. However, that is not where the story of this add-on ends. Throughout the lifecycle of the PC Engine, various improvements and modifications to this add-on have been made, and hence needs addressing in this video. In total, there are 3 different CD-ROM Squared formats. The original CD-ROM-ROM, then there is the Super CD-ROM-ROM, and then finally the Arcade CD-ROM-ROM. Theoretically, all original CD-ROM Squared systems can run all 3 formats, however they will most likely require some sort of system card to enable the extra functionality needed to run those games. One feature that's nice about the CD-ROM format is that they are not region-locked. Therefore, if you try to run any of these games on its TurboGrafx equivalent, it should run with no issue. The system cards needed for the advanced functionality, though, are region-locked and will need some sort of adapter to make it work on your system when going from the PC Engine to the TurboGrafx-16. And just one point to make before we go any further, when looking at the name of this add-on, it looks like the CD-ROM Squared when you look at it written out. However, it is officially pronounced CD-ROM-ROM as opposed to CD-ROM Squared or CD-ROM 2. You may notice me use all 3 different pronunciations of this throughout the video, but don't worry, I am still referring to the same thing. So the PC Engine CD add-on had a lot more support than the US model would eventually get, and I think that's because of the success that the PC Engine had in the Japanese video game market. It had almost 2 years on the market before the CD add-on came out, and they sold a lot of PC Engines then. The more people own the console, the more people who are likely to buy its add-on. Now, the US launch was a bit strange, and I think there are a couple of reasons for this. First of which is that there weren't too many titles that were released for it very close to its launch. And yes, because this console is not region-locked, you could import games released on the PC Engine and weren't ported to the US. But this was something that was a lot more difficult to do back in the day than it was in modern days. So before we get too far into it, let's go ahead and take a look at the launch of the TurboGrafx-CD here in the US. The CD-ROM attachment was released in the United States as the TurboGrafx-CD add-on, and it featured a remodeled interface unit in order to suit the different shape of the TurboGrafx-16, which in my opinion makes it look a little bit more bulky and less sleek than its PC Engine counterparts, but it definitely fits into that early 1990s aesthetic of CD audio equipment of the same time period. The TurboGrafx-CD had a launch price of $399 and did not include any bundled games. It is my belief that this high price point, and its proximity to the launch of the console, being only a few months later, was the main reasons why this didn't take off as quickly as it could have. So this raises the question, why the extremely high price point? Well, if you take into account pricing of other CD players around the same time period, they were around the price range of $250 to $400 for a standard CD player, or even a portable CD player. So even with this being on the high end, the extra value would be that you can play video games with it on your television at a time where even most computers in the home didn't have a CD-ROM drive hooked up to it. Another factor that contributed to the rocky launch of the TurboGrafx-CD was the fact that there were not very many titles available for it at launch, or very soon after. Monster Lair and Fighting Street were released alongside of the TurboGrafx-CD, and these are decent titles, but they didn't really show off the full capabilities of the CD add-on, and then months later that was followed up by Ys Book 1 and 2, and although this game would do a better job showcasing what the TurboGrafx-CD could do in terms of expanding the game, this was not a very popular game genre to do it with, as RPGs were still not as popular as they are today. Combine that with lackluster sales of the core console, which was needed to play these games, it seemed that this add-on was doomed to fail from the get-go. One thing I like right off the bat on the TurboGrafx-16 and the CD unit combined is that it runs off of the same power supply. Not only that, but the power brick is separate from the plug. Something I think that Sega should have done with all of their add-ons with their console, or even better yet, give them just one power cord. If you are going to collect this system, make sure it comes with the TurboGrafx-CD system card. If you can find the version 3.0 card, that would be great as well, as you'll be able to play more games with this system. However, if your TurboGrafx-CD unit lacks this card, it will not be able to play any CD games at all. Taking a look at this system, all put together, actually does make me very proud to own this system. It is not like any other console that I have before it. However, its design may make you think that the CD-ROM drive was an afterthought. But to tell you the truth, based on the design of the core console, I can't think of a better way to make this look good. Taking a look at the side of the console, you can see the RF modulator here, which we will no longer need, because it has composite video out the back. I also appreciate that this console did not use any sort of proprietary connector for the red, white, and yellow cables here. I can just use any RCA cable that I have laying around. Taking a look at the CD unit itself, it actually gives the appearance of a portable CD player. And yeah, the inside of my unit is pretty dusty, so I'll have to clean this off. You can use it as a portable player, but it has to be plugged into power. There are no batteries you can plug in here. The games come in a standard CD jewel case, although mine is missing the front artwork here. The discs aren't anything really special, it's not like the PlayStation. They actually just are standard press CDs, and this one that I'm testing out here appears to be in good shape. That is about the best thing I can say about this game though in retrospect. I'll have more on that later. I like that it also has a little clear window on the top so you can see the game disc spin when it's in there. That also helped me diagnose when games weren't consistently loading from this console, as I can see the disc was stationary and not spinning when I powered it up. If I had to point out something I didn't like about it, is the fact that this console actually takes up a lot more space. It sits very tall because it has the entire console raised up, and the CD player sits even higher above that. And without the carrying case that came with it, it's actually kind of awkward to carry around and move from place to place. Granted, most of the time this would probably be sitting in one stationary location, but it also doesn't fit on my game console shelf near my CRT either, so I have to have it set out separately. Overall, back in 1989 when this thing launched, it would have cost around $400 for this setup, which is not far off from where I see this system listed at online these days. So we're actually not quite done with the origins of this system, at least not quite yet. To fully understand why this add-on stumbled out of the gate, we really have to take a look at the gaming landscape here in North America in 1989. Looking at the gaming landscape in 1989, the TurboGrafx-16 was not the premier choice for gamers in North America. First, the third generation of video game consoles were still going strong, with the Nintendo Entertainment System continuing to top the market. But for those gamers who wanted something more than the 8-bit generation could provide, there was also more than one option for them to upgrade. Even though the PC Engine would release earlier in Japan than the Sega Mega Drive, the lengthy process they took to localize the PC Engine into the TurboGrafx-16 in North America gave Sega an opportunity to launch their console before the TurboGrafx in the United States. And while that in itself is not solely responsible for the poor sales of the TurboGrafx-16, it certainly didn't help. With the Sega Genesis having such a strong lineup of recognizable titles, the TurboGrafx-16 was struggling. That really laid the foundation for an add-on for this system not selling well until the core console took off. And with the initial lineup of CD games not really offering too much of a different gaming experience than what you would get on cartridge, other than the obvious improvement in CD quality sound, the high price point needed to upgrade your video game system into using the new CD-ROM technology was a hard sell. Also keep in mind that in 1989, all of these systems would be competing with the first, widely successful handheld, the Game Boy, which yes, launched before both the Sega Genesis and the TurboGrafx-16. So in seeing how competitive the gaming landscape was when this system was released, it could explain why the core console, and by association its add-on, didn't sell well at launch. But there would still be time that NEC and Hudson would have to turn things around before Nintendo would release their 16-bit game console, the Super Nintendo, almost 2 years later. So despite the advantages that CD-ROM media would add to the console, it was not enough to sway people away from Nintendo and even the newcomer Sega at the very beginning. I really do want to emphasize the lack of available titles at launch and even the following year in 1990. There just weren't that many games released for it, and it kind of made the add-on only available to those that wanted cutting-edge tech and wanted to pay for it. So as the year 1991 would come to a close, Sega would actually start taking off while Nintendo was still dominant, but the TurboGrafx would be in a distant third place. But NEC wasn't about to go down without a fight. They actually made one last-ditch effort to make the TurboGrafx more relevant in a more competitive atmosphere, especially after the launch of the Super Nintendo. But that's going to be a video for another day. But that said, that is going to wrap it up for this video. Remember, if you liked what you see, please click on that subscribe button down below, leave a like if you liked today's video, and leave a comment below letting me know what you liked about today's video and what you'd like to see in the future. Stay tuned because I definitely have more TurboGrafx-CD review coming, and I will see you all in the next video. If you like this video and you'd like to help out with future projects on this channel, please consider supporting me on Patreon. Also, if you enjoy the content of this channel, please remember to click on this subscribe button. Again, I want to thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time.